been a while since we spoke about Zungaro, or Jow catfish, which is the alpha of the jumbo tank. This one is Zazula. This is our youngest of the two that we used to have. Now we only have him. I think it's a he because he wasn't, when we had the other one, it looked like the other one was a female. She was bigger. Especially girth-wise. We adopted her out, I want to say about 4 years ago. By accident. I went in there to try to adopt out Zazula because he was the smaller one and the younger one. I wanted to keep the older one, which at that time was 13 years old, and Zazula was around 7. But I mean, they look inside the tank when you're catching them. It's not easy to figure out who is who, so I caught Zizi instead, and I only realized it after I caught it and put it in the vehicle. So I didn't go ahead and swap them back. I just decided whatever, if that's the case, that's the case. So Zazula has been with us since, what I say, 2012. Bought him as a little baby. That's 3 inches here in Florida when we moved here in 2011. So that makes him about 11 years old right now. He's about 4 feet. And when him and Zizi shared the tank for a long time, for many years, they would fight rather regularly, not too viciously, but regularly, and keep to different corners and sort of defend their corners, not wanting the other Zungaro to be in their corner or on that turf. Zazula used to love herring, which I fed. They both, Zizi and Zazula, they fed on both pellets and fish, which actually probably saved them from developing a vitamin B1 deficiency that many of our fish developed, that ate only frozen and didn't eat pellets. So eating pellets is crucial in that regard. So they've always been healthy, but Zazula has been really trying to catch up. He's pushing out the hybrid. Zazula was really trying to catch up to Zizi, to match her in the weight and size department. So he was notably feeding on a lot more fish than Zizi. But when I switched from herring to fish that supposedly contain less thiaminase or no thiaminase, such as mullet and mackerel, this spoiled fish stopped taking frozen fish at all. So it'll soon be a year since it took any fish, so it's only sustaining itself on the giant New Life Spectrum pellets. I guess it finds it's enough for its needs, but I've noticed big predators grow the best on frozen fish cuisine. Anyhow, he's still the boss of this tank, being the most temperamental and aggressive, territorially and hierarchically fish in this tank. Even though he's not the biggest, doesn't have the biggest mouth or the biggest teeth, but its disposition is what's keeping it at the top. When he gets angry, everybody scatters out of the way. He doesn't have to bite anybody usually, he just snaps his jaws and everybody knows that he's unhappy. And they get out of the way. You can hear it very well when big catfish snap jaws underwater. That makes a real loud sound even outside in the air. So I can't imagine how loud it is inside water. So his place used to be there in the left corner. This was Zizi's, the best spot in the water flow and right where I feed. So he was vying for that spot with Zizi all the time. And now that Zizi's gone, he's been in that spot since then. These fish grow to about 6 feet in the wild. From the looks of it, maybe 100 pounds or so. Maybe 150, I don't know. Hard to say. The one at Shed Aquarium in Chicago is 20 years old and looks like about 5.5 foot or so. 5 to 6 feet. It's the biggest one I know of in captivity. That doesn't mean there's no bigger one somewhere. It's just something that I encountered. He's standing there begging right now. That's his normal begging position because I feed them in that corner. That's the best spot at the table. And him having his alpha status, he occupies the best spot at the table. I don't know what this thing on his jaw underneath. It's been there for a long time. Looks like some kind of cauliflower kind of a looking growth. It doesn't bother him and it's never inflated. But I never knew. It appeared like about maybe at 5 years old. So it's been there for a long time, like for 6 years. It doesn't grow, it doesn't go away. I've never tried to treat it or do anything about it. It looks to be just mostly cosmetic defect, but I'm not really sure where it came from. It's a suction predator, so he prefers to suck in his food real strong. Most predators are like that, but some of them are using this approach more than others. And Jawa are like that. He's yawning, pushing the food along the bowels. It's also funny how he holds one of the maxillary barbels vertical and the other one sort of horizontal. He's always been doing it like that. I don't know why. Sometimes I wonder if the vertical one is an injury from fighting with Zizi, but it looks like he's able to lower it too when he wants to, just he almost never wants to. Again, I may be wrong in the sexing department. I never looked into how really reliable can Zungaro be sexed by venting. Or at least I forgot. Maybe I looked at it at some point, but I forgot. They don't grow so quickly. They're rather slower growing. Takes them a few years to reach 2 feet. Over 5 years to reach 3 feet. And then even slower from there. Mostly a sedentary fish. He doesn't really swim around much. Just sits in one spot. Sometimes does his laps, especially in the dark time of the day. It doesn't look to be like a pursued predator, or mostly probably an ambush predator, or rather predator scavenger, opportunistic, kind of like red-tailed catfish. It's a lot more hydrodynamic in its body shape than red-tailed catfish, so that tells me that it lives in faster waters, or sometimes it has to develop and maintain some speed to catch prey. Its more hydrodynamic shape allows it to glide easier through the water and pick up higher speed and maintain it for longer times. Red-tailed catfish are so bulky, they don't have that. They're a problematic fish overall to house because of their semi-aggressive nature. In prior years, I've seen it attack tank mates and damage their fins. When Zizi was in the other tank with Oxydorus niger, actually Jillian, he locked on to the right pectoral fin of hers and just broke off the leading spine. Took a long time for it to grow back, but it never grew back to the same strength and shape. I mean, that's the way I've seen him fight with other big catfish or tank mates. He would, and the same thing he fought with Zizi, using the same approach, latching onto fins and breaking them or shredding them. So yeah, that's a problematic fish. That's he doesn't like the Disticurus sexfasciatum, sexy, for his sassy nature and no respect, not enough respect for the giants. So once in a while he sends them flying, as you just saw. So yeah, it's a problematic fish that you have to be prepared to house a 5-6 foot fish for hopefully at least half a century or longer. That does relatively rapport with its tank mates. It's going to take some serious commitment and love for such a fish to try this. It's an interesting fish, personable and interactive. You can hand feed it, play with it a little bit, but I wouldn't say it has a lot of personality or a lot of interaction with the keeper except for feeding. That's in short the story of the Zungaro or Jau, J-A-U, named after the tributary of the Amazon River, the Jau catfish. I don't know how well you can see it. It's largely black or lighter black with darker black freckles on it, almost on the entire body, but especially visible on the head. They're everywhere, just harder to see, except for the belly. Belly is white.